Hello and welcome back to the LA Dolce Vita podcast. Today it's the first episode of 2025, although I think it's February 28th or March 1st, I don't even know. But I'm so happy to be back in the studio talking about Hollywood journeys from couch surfing to the Walk of Fame and anything in between. Here with me today, Brittany Yevoli. Ciao. Say welcome to Hollywood, but I know you have been in Hollywood for a long time already because I met you up in downtown LA. I remember the first afternoon I met you. You were performing in a beautiful skyscraper in downtown LA with a local company. So since here we talk about Hollywood journeys, how did you land in Hollywood? Let's start from there.
Yes, of course. Also, first of all, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, we love it.
I just wanted to say I feel really right about doing this podcast now with you, especially because I feel like I'm going through a major career transition. And I met you when I first came to LA, when I first joined in the company downtown. I remember that day still. So
yeah,
it's so
with
nice.
Dario. His name is Anthony now. With Dario. I love Dario. Ciao, Dario. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So I grew up in Virginia, Northern Virginia, close to Washington, D.C. And I grew up training in ballet over there. And when I was a senior in high school, I was applying to colleges, but I also wanted to audition for ballet companies. And so what I did is I applied to college, I got in, and I decided to defer for 1 year and take one more year to continue my ballet training and audition for ballet companies.
Wow.
And I have to say, I'm where I am today because of my ballet teacher in high school, Miss Leela. She really was such a mentor to me and encouraged me to...
Hi, Miss Leela.
Miss Leela. Without her, I wouldn't be here because she really took the time to help me give specialized attention to be able to create a good audition video and to give me the confidence and encourage me to do company auditions, which is something I really wanted to do, but the dance world is quite difficult.
Yes, competitive because
Very
there
much,
are a lot of ballerinas, especially female.
Yes, very much so. And so that winter, I drove up to New York City every weekend from DC and did as many company auditions as I could.
Wow.
And I still remember the morning of my audition for American Contemporary Ballet. And I remember it was like the earliest audition time in the day, and we had to wear point shoes for the whole class, which a lot of times you just wear point shoes for center.
Yes.
Yeah. But this one was super intense. You wear them the whole class. And I remember taking that class and being like, oh wow, I've never had a class like this before. And it was quite challenging, but also super refreshing because I feel like, obviously I love ballet, but sometimes things can feel repetitive.
Yes, they are, as a matter of fact.
And so what I really loved about this audition is that it was just so different than anything else I had done before. And then what was also crazy about it is we had personal interviews after the audition, which is different than
With whom, Teresa?
Yeah, Teresa and Lincoln.
Okay.
And so in most ballet company auditions, you just have the physical dancing portion.
Yes.
So that was also something that stuck out to me. And I was like, okay, great. But anyways, I continued down the journey of auditioning. And then I was in the car with my mom one day and I get a call from Los Angeles. And I think, oh, that's probably spam. I'm not going to pick that up. What's going on? And my mom was like, pick it up. And I pick it up and it's Lincoln. And he's like, hello, we have a position for you in the company. Can you start in May? And at this time, it was maybe April or something. And this is 2018.
Wow.
And usually companies, you then start in the fall. And so I was like, oh my God, this is so soon. This is amazing. And it almost felt surreal, getting into a company and then also
moving to Los Angeles.
Yes, exactly. And with ballet being so difficult, I was willing to move anywhere. I got a position.
Absolutely.
But I'm so grateful that it was Los Angeles because I love LA. It's home now, and I can't imagine really living anywhere else. Or
do you miss Washington, Virginia?
I miss my family, and I miss aspects of it.
Yeah, but Hollywood, overall, Los Angeles is home.
Yeah.
So you were meant to be there. So thank you to Miss Leila and Lincoln and Teresa. And how's taking a step back? So you landed here in 2018. How was the training, why did you decide to pick up ballet, and what were you dreaming as a little kid or later on? Let's analyze a little bit of that, because we all land here after a lifetime of dreaming in a way, right? Yeah,
completely. I've always danced since I was a little kid. And
you ask your mom.
You
don't remember. It was so early, you don't even remember.
But I feel like every little kid takes dance classes here and there, but I just never stopped. And my mom does I don't remember this, but my mom does tell me a story of one time I came home from ballet class and I was like, ballet is my one true love.
That's so sweet.
So when I was younger too, I'm very grateful that my parents gave me the opportunity to try many different sports and activities. I did like soccer and swimming and all these different things. And I always just like was drawn to ballet. And that's
ballet
just what I always,
true love.
Yeah, that's just what always like.
Do you have memories of yourself not dancing? So probably not.
No, I don't.
You don't. That's
wow. That's kind of crazy.
That's that's intense.
Yeah.
You don't have memories of yourself not dancing. So it must have been 2-3 years old. You were already like
completely
already in there. Very good. So you grew up there. And where did you train? Like in an academy there, or you were going like to school, like regular school in the morning, and then there was a private school with Miss Leila? How was it?
Yeah. I started at just like a little rec center in our neighborhood where we were in a cafeteria. And
in the back of the cafeteria. Yeah.
And my teacher there, Miss Blasey, she was amazing. And she was like, if this is something you want to pursue, you should go to like a bigger, more professional school. And then from there, I went to Washington Ballet. And that's where I got much more serious, going multiple days a week. And then in high school, I then moved to Miss Leila, where she was building up her own school, which was a little bit smaller, but I got more attention and I could do solos and the performances.
What kind of style, like Russian ballet? What was she focusing on, Miss Leila?
She was very more like Vaganova. Yeah, but when I was at Washington Ballet, I did get a mix of different styles. So I had a little glimmer of the balancing style, which I was always drawn to, but in Miss Leila, we did a lot of like Vaganova classical style.
Yeah, I was watching you the other day in class, although I was out of it, like kind of like today. But I think you actually are even more dynamic now than when you were dancing in the company. You're a powerful dynamic, and I thought about it. Looks like more on the Russian side as training. Very good. So you arrived to Hollywood when Lincoln called you for American Contemporary Ballet, you had been out of high school for 1 year, right? So, and you had been auditioning in New York. And so how was it, your first impression in Los Angeles? Where were you living? Because people may wonder, you arrive, it's such an expensive city, although now it's more expensive than 2018. But how were the arrangements? Tell us about it.
It was pretty hectic.
Yeah. So did you do some couch surfing?
In a way.
We like to talk about couch surfing to the Walk of Fame.
Yeah. I remember getting in and being like, okay, I need to figure out where I'm going to live, and messaging people on Facebook that I knew were in the company, like, does anyone need a roommate? And I met this one girl who was also moving here to be an apprentice at the same time as me. And we were like, okay, great, let's live together. We found something like on Facebook Marketplace, and we found a sublease from someone who went to school at USC. But he was like, okay, this is the price of the room. Technically, it's a one-person room, but if you want to split it, you can. But we only have one key because it's a fob. So
but could you duplicate the key?
No, you couldn't duplicate the key. Oh my God! It was one of those fobs.
So you had to live in a plant outside.
Yes, we literally did that.
You can tell I did the couch surfing. Because I came out with the solution right away. The plant.
I still remember like the planter that we would put it in, and depending on which roommate was coming home at which time.
And you look around to see if anyone
you're like, is anyone looking at me?
And where was this place? What neighborhood?
It was by USC.
By USC, downtown LA.
Downtown, yeah. And we had a situation where we lost that key.
Oh my God.
And it was like a crazy, I don't know. We put the key in the plant and then the next person came and it was gone.
Oh,
so
how
it might still be in that plant.
One second. How many roommates? Because you were with Esme in one room, we said, right? And then there were other people?
Yeah. So me and one girl were sharing one room and then there was one girl in the other room.
Oh, okay. It was 2 bedrooms. Yeah.
So
at some point the key disappears.
Yes.
And you're locked out. What did you do? Because it cost a lot of money to call the guy.
Yeah, we had to do the whole call the guy, get a new key, but we had to act like it was just one of us in the room. And
wow.
And so that was pretty hectic. But then from there, we moved to another apartment with 4 girls in a 2-bedroom.
Okay.
And originally the plan was to be 2 and 2.
Yeah.
But we show up and one room is like the size of a closet. So we ended up doing 2 girls in one girl in that, and 1 girl in the living room. And we ordered a giant shower curtain on Amazon. And I still remember the privacy
day
when we're like trying to hang up the shower curtain.
And everything falls out.
Yep. So that was another very hectic living
And then
situation.
when you wake up in the morning, you have to be very careful because she's sleeping. Were you all 4 ballerinas or?
Yes, we were
with
all
the same company,
at the same
apprentices.
Time,
And how's the life? But it sounds like fun though, right? Like they're kind of.
There's always some drama. But
there's always drama.
But it was fun.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of, without getting into details, like the hardest part of living with others, and what strategy, like what's an advice when you have to live with others and you're young and it's like 4 girls, 1 in the living room, for the couch surfing? What did you learn that you feel like sharing? I know it's not easy. I'm thinking about it myself because I did couch surfing. I learned a lot of lessons. It's hard to find one.
I think just looking back on how I personally reacted to the situation, you don't get much downtime in your living environment because there's always someone there. And especially in like a situation when you're all working at the same place every day, you're all carpooling there every day, and then you're all living together every day. You're kind of around the same, even if you're great friends, you're like around each other all the time and you need a break. So I think especially being new in LA, I would go and do a lot of things by myself in LA to just explore the city and do this and that. But being able to like step away from that and like have my alone time.
So it's less claustrophobic at some point or toxic at some point.
And just like, I think because I was also exploring LA as a new city, I was more like, oh, let me go to these new neighborhoods and do this or that. And I was very much okay doing things by myself because of that. And also like making friends outside of
the ballet world.
Yeah, exactly. But I think sometimes also just reminding yourself that of the bigger goal, like why you're doing it, and that it is really fun also. So to just like embrace that side of it, because at some point in your life, you won't be living with your friends. Yeah. So just embrace it and know when you need to take a step away. As
you were talking now, I remember one thing. I was going to the shelter to volunteer and walk with the dogs. They're very peaceful. And then I was sitting under a tree. It was a waste to stay, to do something and stay out of the house. Or find friends with big houses where you can go.
Go hang out there.
and sit on the couch or say, I'm going to watch your dog while you are at work. I actually was doing that. My friend Hillary, I was watching her dog Bella, and then I became Bella's favorite person. I was going to her house while she was at work because she needed someone to watch her Bella. So anyways, so that's a great great advice. So how was the life as an apprentice as a ballerina? How was it when you started?
I had a good experience. I think the answer will vary drastically depending on who you speak to, because it is difficult. It is difficult because you're not making money, but you're not paying the ballet schools to be there. And so it's kind of your year to prove yourself, but then you also have to like find ways to make money outside of that to support yourself,
which is physically exhausting because you probably look at restaurants, so you have to as an apprentice, you have to give your best to make it into the company, and it's a physical work. And then you have to go and work. Did you do that, or you had the help of your parents, or how did that go?
I had support from my parents, which is very nice. But the year before, I also worked at a clothing store saving money. And then I also modeled, which I'm very grateful because you can make a good amount for less amount of time.
Yes. And you still do that?
I still do, yes. And was very helpful for me financially.
How did you find the job as a model?
Yeah, I actually started modeling as a baby when my family was living in New York. So I was like on parenting magazines and this and that. Perfect. But then I stopped, and when we moved to DC, had high school and all that normally. And I actually submitted my own digitals to different agencies, and I submitted them to agencies across the country. And it was crazy because I got into an agency in LA like a few months before I got into the company. It was meant to be. So it kind of just all aligned perfectly.
Yes, it was meant to be. And what, so you were able to survive that first year like that. And what happened after? Like, did you become a corps de ballet member?
Yes, I did.
And how was that?
That was very nice.
Because you stayed there for many years, right?
Yes, I was there from 2018, May of 2018 to June of 2024.
Well, it's 6 years.
Right? I'm like, oh God,
it's a good amount of time. It's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you stay? You became when you became corps de ballet. Did you start dancing other roles, or what were the major changes?
American Contemporary Ballet has like not official rankings in like their contracts, but it's more like unofficial rankings. So it wasn't called Coda Ballet, but I feel like one great thing about being in a smaller company is that some shows you're in the corps, some shows you get to do a solo.
Yes.
So I actually was able to do solos my first year as an apprentice, actually, which was a great opportunity.
Because you want to dance.
Exactly.
And when you are young and you are fresh and you want to do it.
Exactly. And I think that getting those opportunities also, I think, helped me get my contract by proving myself. And that was definitely very nice and rewarding.
What was the role that in these 6 years you danced and really, you think, even now that you say you are transitioning, it kind of gave you the most, or kind of changed something in you, or like the one with the biggest impact on you?
Yeah. It's hard to say one specifically, because I do think just the whole journey of it had an impact. And each role that I've gotten to do has been very meaningful and special in its own way. And one beautiful thing about American Contemporary Ballet is that all of our repertoire is quite different from one another. So you really get to explore yourself in different styles within one company. And I think you learn different things from each one. And I was still doing some of the same solos that I did last year that I did as an apprentice. And I think one of the reasons I did leave is because I was like, I've done this role very many times and I love the role, but I just was like feeling like, okay, I need a new environment. Wow. But at the same time, it was really beautiful to see how I could take the same piece however many years in a row and create something new out of it every each year. Yeah. And like me as an individual, like I've grown, I'm a different person, like mentally and like socially in so many different ways, even though you are still the same person, but the way you grow, you can then bring that to the pieces. And I think I can see different years of, oh, I really emphasized this in this piece one year, but then like I was really insecure this year and I can see how that affected my dance this year. And then I worked on self-confidence and I can see how it came out in this year. And even if there's different little things that went well or didn't go well technically, I think like the presence I brought to it evolved over the years.
And you got to that point, so because I don't know why you left the company, or you got to that point where you felt you kind of have outgrown the whole process. Like, I don't think I want to do this role one more time. I need something else in my life.
It was a very, very difficult decision.
Tell me about it, because I'm an adult ballerina, so I just I don't know. I've never been there. Yeah, I have a feeling I had it, but where I have outgrown like the whole thing, and I'm like, why do I even go to class? I'm so tired of seeing these faces.
I think we all go through that.
And then maybe I'm the psycho, like again, oh my God, she's here. Like, like here we get. But so I don't know what happens when it's your job and your career, and you're like, maybe I'm kind of done with this. So go ahead.
It's interesting because dancers don't have a very long career necessarily, because it is dependent on your age and your body and all those things. And in my head growing up, I was always like, I'm going to dance as long as I can. That was always the plan. And then around a few years ago, something in me just like didn't feel right, if that makes sense. And it was a very, very difficult decision. And coming to that realization took me like 2 years, because I still loved performing. I loved the environment and getting to meet with the audience members after the shows and all of that.
That's how we met.
Yeah, exactly. And you really build like a community. And I think my experience in LA is so much richer and like more full because of just the community that I got from that company. Even some of my best friends are still friends that we were apprentices together and lived together that first year. And it's interesting with the ballet side of it. And I think that like I'll never not love ballet and want it, but I think having it be your job all day, every day, you love it, but then there's also a lot of pressure that comes with that. And at some point, I think I started to just realize that I can still love this, but it doesn't have to like run my life, if that makes sense.
What was like that the first little break inside, if you remember, like that thing that it's like, maybe this relationship is changing. This relationship I have with the art form.
I don't think it was one specific moment. I think it was like a gradual noticing, like it was like honestly a really difficult mental push and pull, because I'd noticed myself maybe not caring as much about certain things as I used to care about. And I'd be like, Brittany, why are you being lazy? Like, care more, what's wrong with you? And it was
and the caring less
and
was actually affecting you, because sometimes in life I notice you care less, things
and you do better.
And so that's
there was a balance of that. And I feel like I had, because when you're young, it's like everyone's a little bunhead and you're like, I'm gonna be perfect. And so I started to care less, and it actually felt better and it was good. But as that happened, I think I found myself interested in other things. And
then you care less and less and less, to the point where then it does affect the job.
And I don't to an extent. And I don't know if it really...
Nobody noticed.
I still cared. I still really did care. Deep down, I did. So it wasn't so much of a lack of care that it wasn't... Like, I still definitely cared about it very much deep down. But I think I was just... You go to the same place every single day, around the same people every single day. And I love the people. I love the place. I love performing. I loved everything about it. But I think you get to a point where then you start thinking, oh, where's my life going? I need to progress in other areas of my life. And I think I just felt ready to expand
something
in a
else
different way, because it's the same environment every single day, which, I think, sorry, my thoughts are all over, but coming back to it, I don't think I actually cared less. I was just also caring about other things. And I had to come to the point where,
even because probably in the back of a ballerina's mind, especially if it's a job like the one at the American Contemporary Ballet, it's a contract that needs to be renewed every year. It's not a contract like La Scala Theatre, for instance. My dear friend is at La Scala, Mary Garrett. You enter and you're going to keep that job until your pension. So you have you are guaranteed certain things, but probably in the back of your mind also, knowing that there's a contract every year coming, it's not very easy. It's like, So what did call you outside of ballet? You kept the modeling, right?
I did, yes. And I still continue to dance and freelance. And I will always keep dance as a part of my life. But I think another thing is that I started going to school.
Oh, okay.
And so actually during COVID, I started part-time online through Santa Monica College.
Oh, that's where I go. I'm going to get my degree there
Oh,
soon.
yeah.
Yeah,
Santa
liberal
Monica
arts.
is great,
It's
amazing.
great.
All the professors are incredible, and they all go also teach at all the other big UCs.
Yes, yeah. Isn't it funny? Yeah, that when I learned about it, they were like, oh, SMC, like a public B school. They're amazing. Yeah. So you went there, you studied with your classes there.
Yes. I started part-time online, a few classes here and there, because I was like, okay, I still want to get my degree.
Yes.
Let me do it. And through that school, I discovered anthropology, and because I didn't know what I wanted my major to be, and I didn't want to study dance because I'm already doing that. And from there, I then applied to transfer to UCLA, and everyone I talked to said, you can't do that with a full-time dance job.
Okay,
it's impossible.
Yeah.
You need to be able to, you have to be in person for a certain amount, and you have to take certain classes. And so I was like, oh my God, can I do this? I don't know. But I just applied and I did it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The first year there was very, very difficult because in order to make it work while being at ACB full time, I had to take 8 a.m. classes.
Wow.
So thankfully, ballet class at ACB starts at 11. So
so you had the time to have 2 hours class and then drive to downtown Los Angeles.
Yes. So I'd be in class for 2 hours, drive downtown, run inside, put my hair up, get ready, then be at ballet all day. But then there were certain classes that in order to make the minimum unit requirements, I'd miss part of my class or my classes would overlap.
Wow.
And I spoke to all my professors who were super supportive, but at the end of the day, after going home, I'd then have to go online and figure out what I missed in the morning. So it was just very, very difficult and a lot. And then if you have tech rehearsal or dress rehearsal till 11 p.m., then I have to wake up early to go to class in the morning
and study also.
Yeah.
When did you study?
In between all of that.
In between. For how many semesters were you able to sustain this lifestyle?
I did that the entire year.
So 4 semesters.
We're on the quarter system, so it's 3 quarters, and then I did a summer program. But so I did that for an entire year, but it was not sustainable.
Not sustainable.
And it kind of,
for me, not even one. Not even 1 month.
Yeah, taking naps in my car.
Yeah.
And packing breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the day. It's a lot. But that did coincide with my
decision
feeling ready to leave ACB, which
because you had someone else. Not someone, something else. It's you had found something else that was that expansion you were looking for. What's fascinating? What did fascinate you in anthropology? What do you see in anthropology? What did you find?
Yeah, I had one really great professor. It was a gender and sexuality anthropology course. And it was just super fascinating learning about different cultures and how so many different cultures have different origin stories about our society has Jesus and God, but we also have a very patriarchal society, whereas other societies are set up very differently because of their different origin stories and whatnot. And that's just one tiny example. But I also had a hard time picking one thing because I'm well, this is interesting, but so is this and so is this. And anthropology definitely covers a wide range of topics, including psychology, history, archaeology, just the cultures. And so right now I get to take a film course, an evolutionary psychology course, anthropology of food, and then I got to take a paleopathology course and take a forensics course. So I just like that it had a wide range of offerings within one major.
Yes, and you really study how human beings work fundamentally. That's and how when are you going to graduate?
This spring.
So very soon. Oh my God. And what are your plans after?
I have a lot of different ideas, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. I did apply for an anthropology program this summer in Italy. It's in
where?
Sardinia.
Wow.
And so it's
Sardinia is great.
I'm excited. It's ecology research. And so I'll get to go out on a boat
what
and do
town?
research.
Do you remember? Alghero.
Yeah, I think so.
Alghero, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because I love Alghero. Yeah. And so you are on a boat doing researches.
Yes. So I'm going to be doing that this summer.
Sounds like a good summer.
Yeah.
And then
I was like looking through the programs. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty location.
Yes.
Let's apply.
Sardinia is
but it's
top
also interesting
location in
information.
Italy.
So.
And so now you're looking into the summer and then step by step.
Yeah.
And how you said you're still modeling and dancing. Let's talk about it. How's the life as a model right now that, you dance less, but you're in full-time school? How do you manage the castings for someone who might want to become a model? So you said you got into the agency by sending your own digitals and you're so beautiful. They were looking for your type. And so how is it then once you're in the agency? What do you do?
It's nice. They send you castings and jobs and this and that. And one thing I'd like to mention, going back a little bit timeline-wise, with my agency that I had when I was younger, it worked out well because I actually got to model in Japan during the off-season from ballet companies, because usually you have a few months off every year. And dancers get jobs here and there, but I'm really lucky that my agency set me up with an agency in Japan. So like when I was an apprentice in the first 2 years of being an apprentice and in the company, I got to go to Japan during my breaks.
What city?
I was in Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Yeah. And so that was really great because when you go on a specific trip, they're going to push you way more to get work. So I was able to make a good money in those few months. Which it was like 2 months, which was really, really nice. And that was a whole amazing experience.
That's amazing.
More drama with living with people in bunk beds and everything. But like
who were the other models from all over the world, right?
Yeah. And I got really, really lucky with the girls I met. But there's always
pressure also because maybe some of them, you were doing it to support the ballet. For some of them, maybe it was like their dream instead was the modeling itself.
Yes,
so they had a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And I think having ballet is my dream, and I love modeling, but my attachment was to ballet. My attachment is less, and I think that did help me mentally in that.
Yeah.
And I think going back to how when you care a little less, things actually get better. Yeah. And I did feel like that even now in my dancing, you mentioned before, the less I care, the better it gets, actually.
Yeah, to an extent, but
in a specific way.
Yeah, because you take more risk. Exactly. You are having fun, and it shows, and it's more captivating. But and so now, what about coming back now? No, sorry, that's great. The 2 months in Japan here and there, and how is it now? Like, how's the market for modeling right now in Los Angeles? Like, what kind of jobs do they propose to you? Or is it hard to get the jobs?
I feel like, especially right now, my focus has been a lot on school. So that's been my main focus, just because I want to finish that.
Yeah.
But the market's like always up and down. I think that is one thing about modeling is the work isn't consistent like other jobs, but when you do get paid, you get paid a good amount. So you have to be able to manage that, I would say. And I think there's like jobs kind of in everything, like commercial, like all the, like honestly everything, because there's so much happening. But I also like feel like I have friends that hire me to model different things, and it's just like learning how to manage your schedule and being like, oh, I have school this day, I have rehearsal for this dance thing this day, let me try to coordinate when I can book this shoot and stuff. So it's a lot, like that's part of the freelancing. Well, it seems like
you have a lot of possibilities. You're a girl with a lot of possibilities, like with a little bit of couch surfing, but like a lot
I'm not couch surfing anymore.
No, not anymore. Yeah, exactly. That was a little bit at the beginning, and then not easy, but a lot of possibilities coming your way. So Hollywood treated you really, really nicely.
I feel like I have a new possibility coming up. I just started taking acting classes.
Oh, nice. Where?
It's called the Margie Haber Studio.
Margie Haber, where is it? Let's talk about it.
It's on La Brea Avenue.
La Brea.
And this is like the most Hollywood thing, I feel like.
Okay,
because it's like
let's
acting.
Talk about it.
And it's so funny because
Well, you acted a lot as a ballerina as well.
But it's,
and also
it's quite
as a model.
Different. Yeah.
Okay, tell us about it.
That's one thing. I felt very comfortable and confident acting in ballet or modeling because it's a very specific way. But acting is like a whole different way. And so I've always been curious about it because I've been in this world, and through modeling, I've done commercial work where you have to do a little bit more acting, but it's been definitely quite a journey, and I've learned a lot from it.
Why did you start?
Because of like a possibility of I had somebody recommend this class to me and be like, oh, we think this would be a good opportunity for you.
And so how's the class? How many people in class? Who are the other actors?
Yeah, there's like 12 to 16, depending on the
small
night.
Group. Yeah.
And
who are the other actors?
Yeah, it's like 6 to 11 p.m. at night. And sometimes we haven't gotten out till like 12:30 a.m.
Yes.
But it's people from all over LA. Some people who are like screenwriters, some people who are like acting is my thing, and some people who are like, I work an accounting job, but I'm like trying to like push myself out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And so you see people who kind of didn't take the creative path and did let me take the safe job, but I've always wanted to do this, so now I'm going to do it as an adult. Yeah.
What are you working on? Is there a specific character you're working on right now in class?
Every day we get a new little scene that we work on, so we get to do a range of different.
What are your favorite? Comedy, drama, or did you discover something about yourself that you didn't, that kind of took you back, or it's like, wow, I have for instance, I give an example for me as acting class that I notice also when I see this podcast sometimes I'm come off too strong, like, and I have a hard time being vulnerable. And as an actor, you have to be vulnerable and let the camera read. Another thing, maybe in a scene, I want to take too much control of the outcome of the scene, and that's not good. I mean, there are a million things that I discover when I work on a camera or in front of a camera, like right now, on a character or in front of a camera or on stage. So what's something that you discovered through this work, like something about yourself or about others as well, because you have to really sit there with another person. And that's another thing. In acting, you really need to really present, and that made me wonder if I am ever present with anyone.
I had the same thought.
Yeah,
I feel like everything you're saying is really resonating with me, and I learned so much about that, especially just letting go and being present, because you're really taught, you prepare for the scene, but then you kind of have to drop in, be present with the other person, and you can't just do what you've prepared. You have to just be there.
Yeah.
Let it go. And I think the vulnerability side of it has definitely been very challenging and rewarding for me, because as a dancer, you have to act on stage and you be vulnerable in dramatic roles to an extent, but you still always have a strong front on. And you always, I think in your day-to-day, there's been multiple times where I just want to break down in tears, but you just have to like shut it down and stay strong. It's fine. Yeah, okay, let's run it one more time. Like, I'm fine, sure. I'm not just crying on the inside. And I think this is really teaching me how to like, okay, I feel an emotion, like let's sit with that emotion and recognize that emotion and like allow that emotion to be processed through my body.
Yeah.
And so even I've cried so many times in my acting class already.
Nice,
but
though.
It's been,
nice that
it's
you
been
can.
Good. Yeah. And I think everyone in my class brings such a special energy and is super supportive. I'm really lucky with the people in the class, but it's definitely about saying like, you know what? I'm not going to care. Let's just like go for it. Get out of your comfort zone, be vulnerable and be present. And I think allowing yourself to let go and just be present with yourself and the other person. And we do talk a lot about like emotions and like your ego and things like that. And it's really interesting to see how we each hold on to so many insecurities about ourselves and like vulnerabilities and things in that. And then when you come together as a group, you realize everyone has it in their own way, but everyone has their vulnerabilities and insecurities. And even though it's manifest in different ways, I think like seeing that encourages you to be more vulnerable, because you feel more like, okay, we're we're all human, and it's okay to be human.
And probably also found the safe space to do it, that class. But I think actually it's great if you are able to access those vulnerabilities, and because that's what acting is about, and that's what I love about acting. But when I don't do it for a while, I understand there's something physically that doesn't allow me to get there, because I have so much resilience. And that's actually the bad actress in me, you know. So I think if you are able to have resilience in your life, but you are able then to sit down and let everything go and feel safe with someone else, with the crew if you are on set, or with your teacher if you are in a school, and with your classmates, and access that vulnerability and let it shine. That vulnerability is what lets you shine as an actress. There's nothing else really.
I completely agree with that. And I was talking with one girl after my class, and kind of what you were saying, if you don't do it for a while, you feel it. And she was telling me that like when she's consistently in acting class, she just feels so much lighter. And even I was relating to her, like, this feels like a therapy session. Because you really bury so much. And so like having that space to like allow those emotions to come up in a character, this and that, and really let it come out, really, really, it's like therapy and a therapeutic process.
And I don't know if it happened to you, but to me, something also happens when I am working on a character. I like people more, meaning that after a while that I don't do any acting or I don't work in a character, I become kind of jaded and judgmental, you know. And I notice if I'm working on a character and I try to relate to that character, find the same traits of that character in myself, or I try to look at other people to steal, quote, quote, not really behaviors, but psychological aspects that I can put, all of a sudden I feel I'm relating to other human beings with a lot of love. I love that I'm surrounded by human beings. Like the person in the car next to me is not like, why are you, move, just move. No, it's like, oh, look at that. Oh, like all of a sudden there's a sheer of love that connects me to other human beings, because through the acting, and probably it's an aspect of me that I need to like practice, because when I don't practice the acting, I kind of lose the connection to other human beings, although I have the same friends forever in ballet class. Apparently I'm kind of socially adjusted, but I can feel at the deeper level, the acting gives me another kind of connection that is purer, almost like the connection I have with animals. With animals, I feel it naturally. With people, yes and no, although I'm very social. But there's all, you know, I'm talking deep down. The acting levels everything. And then it's like Christmas. It's more magical. And that's, for me, the magic of Hollywood. I feel like we are so connected if I'm working on a character. So
that makes so much sense. And I think you said that quite beautifully. And it does make so much sense, because when you are working on a character, you look at like, what is their core need and desire, and like you have so much empathy for them. And we talk about empathy. Like if there's
empathy, it's like, why are you on my way? It's like, wow, you are like me, like
And if you like look at a character, they're playing someone like, oh, this person's kind of an asshole or something, you're like, but why? Like, let's get to the deeper root of like why they feel this way. And I think with that empathy, you understand them, and you can better understand like the people around you, and like.
And when you meet a quote quote actor in the street, it's so fascinating. I remember the magic of wow, or like all of a sudden I'm not irritable, because there are moments where everybody irritates me. All of a sudden, instead, everybody inspires me. That's the magic of acting in Hollywood. Well, so that might be another career for you. We don't know. Is there like, well, talking about Hollywood then, you are in acting class. Are you looking for a theatrical agent? Do you have like a dream role? Who's like, when you dream about it, what do you see?
I'm still figuring out my next step dreams. Honestly, I have a bajillion ideas running through my mind. And I feel like I'm at the point now where I really want to push myself out of my comfort zone. Like, I was terrified. I cried on my drive to this first acting class. I was so scared.
Wow.
And I'm really trying, but it has been so rewarding. So I'm really trying to like push myself into new environments, see what resonates, and just kind of let go of control. And like,
what was why do you think like it was just nervousism, or maybe the kind of after, because I think that what can happen in Hollywood, although Hollywood has been very generous with you, like you're beautiful model, beautiful ballerina, but you can get to a point where you lose the ability to dream because it's too painful. I don't think maybe you got there, but I'm curious because you said I cried to the acting class. Why? What was the nervousism about?
Yeah, I think I definitely got to a point where I felt very defeated and like frustrated because with leaving the company, because I think, you know, ballet was always my dream, and I couldn't imagine, like, why am I giving up my dream job? Like, this does not make any sense.
Like, this relationship didn't work out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just...
Although it did, but...
Yeah.
And I always say after every divorce, is a marriage that worked out up to a certain point.
It did feel like a divorce. Like, it really did. And so I think something about the level of being vulnerable, the vulnerability within the acting world scared me, because I knew I had a lot of suppressed emotions from leaving the ballet company and all these different things. I was like burying certain emotions that I knew I needed to feel. And also it was like very uncomfortable because I'm fine being on stage in front of people, but not when you're like saying lines and like getting, like, it's completely different. So, and I had seen myself act a few times being like, I don't think I'm
you shouldn't be looking.
So I was like, but that's why I needed to be in class, and it's been so rewarding. But I think as I go, I'm still unsure of which direction I'm going, but I feel quite calm in that, actually, and I feel confident that it'll all like come together.
And of all the emotions, there was like maybe a resentment or a disappointment in particular. You had to work hard to let it go, to gain your own freedom around it.
Completely. I feel like even talking to my therapist the other day, there were different aspects of it that I'm like, oh, I feel guilty about this or resentful about this, and all these different elements of it. And I feel there was a part of me that felt like I failed myself for not going further with it. And like,
I feel like that every morning. No, but I go ahead.
And in this conversation I had literally a few days ago, my therapist was like,
tell me, I need it.
all these feelings of like guilt and resentment and like almost self-hatred for not sticking with it and going further. My therapist was like, no, actually you are empowering yourself by making the choice to step out of that. Because even while many aspects of it were fulfilling, it got to a point where it wasn't, like, my soul wanted other areas of life to be fulfilled as well. Not that they weren't, but like we said, we're always expanding, we're always growing and like always curious for new things. And she was just saying that you have to like transform that like self-hatred and guilt and negative self-talk to actually being like, no, like, I'm empowered to make these choices for myself, and like I don't have to follow what society says, I don't have to follow what my director says, I don't have to follow what anybody says other than how your own soul is guiding you. And I think one thing that I really struggled with for like 2 years was, what's the difference between gut intuition and fear?
Please.
I'm still learning.
I'm like, I'm working actually on that. I'm working on quote, God's will, my will. And by the way, I'm not religious. I don't know about you, but I'm not. It's just God, like, you know, a power.
Universal.
So what's the difference?
I have some advice, but I don't have the answer. But tell us like
something.
I've struggled so hard between like what is just like my ego feeling fear versus like the gut intuition to do the right thing. And I think what I came to realize is I felt the need to leave the company for a long time, but I really struggled with that. And I think time and time again, I was like, no. But like the gut will always sneak back in there. And I think what people have told me is like, the fear is more panic, like, oh my God, we have to do this. Whereas the gut is just super calm. Like you feel calm about that decision versus like the fear.
Oh, you said God, not God.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, well, okay. Well,
but also,
you know what? God is God.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, but it's the same thing.
God,
because God is in your gut. Yeah, it's that voice. Yeah. So we could we maybe say that the gut is a fear is something from a worry from the ego in the moment that can be very legitimate, by the way, like someone with a gun or someone doesn't like me. It's the same. Like someone doesn't like me actually can have a gun against me, can decide a lot about me. Okay, so that it's a worry of the moment. While God/God is the intuition that keeps coming back no matter what.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I think sometimes you have to be patient to hear that voice, but it's more of a calming guidance that's more just like, hey, we should do this, versus like, oh my God, you have to do this right now. Oh my God. Because I think the fear sometimes it is someone's holding a gun, but your body feels fight or flight.
Yes.
And I was feeling that in so many aspects of
it can become a constant. I think it became in my life a constant at some point, fight or flight. Yeah, you don't even, it's such a constant, you don't even know you are in fight or flight.
Exactly. But your body feels it. And I think that's one thing that being in the same environment I was in every day, I was like, I love this. I'm happy. This is great. But my body just felt so heavy and like suffocated. And I think that was my gut telling me like, it's time to start a new journey.
To start a new journey. Yeah. And talking about a body.
It's one long journey.
Yeah. Talking about body. And I saw your body change. You're so beautiful. And I was thinking about it because I realized something the other day, which is kind of pathetic. You know, I realized I'm 45 and I'm still ashamed of like wearing the jazz pants in ballet class because they show my thick thighs and my full butt. And so I'm thinking I should lose weight. But then I know if I lose too much weight, then I'm skinnier here and here, or I'm not as healthy. And I was like, wow, I thought that by age 45, I would have like solved that feeling once, you know, forever. And instead I feel like not like suffering to the point where it's like, hey, but I'm still there, like debating if I should wear the jazz pants and then look in the mirror and be like, I don't like myself, or just instead wear the skirt and the ties because I look thinner. But it's all myself. Nobody puts any pressure on me. And so I was like, wow, I really thought that by age 45, this is something done, but clearly it's not. So I'm still working on it, and I alternate jazz pants with other things. But I wanted to learn from you, your body, your journey, like what were the challenges, how do you feel now, like your journey with the body, because I don't think it's stopped, at least in my case.
No, it's been a constant.
Yeah, even here I'm like, why look at that?
No, honestly, when I walked in, I'm looking like, oh, what, like everybody does it, and it's been a very difficult journey in the whole body image world, especially I think for women, just in general, and then in ballet even more so, because I think your thoughts of, oh, should I wear the jazz pants or the skirt or that, everybody has that thought, and it's like I have very much struggled with that. Like that is one of the things about the dance world that I was kind of like, I don't want to think about this all day, every day, because so many of my thoughts were dedicated to that. And it was taking up a lot of brain space that was making me feel horrible about myself every single day.
Really,
and it's really interesting because...
And in your case, though, you were very successful because in a way, society was telling you had it, like you had what it takes because you had the job as a ballerina, as a model, as a beautiful girl. So yet the mind goes on its own.
The mind, even though I had the external validation,
degree,
I completely had imposter syndrome. And I remember I had gained weight over my time in the company. And I remember looking back at photos of myself from 4 years ago, but I had been a little bit bigger than the year before. And I felt horrible about myself. And I remember feeling like absolutely horrible. And I look back at photos and I'm like, wait, I looked great.
You look great.
And that keeps happening year after year. And so I'm like, okay, at some point, let me just try to like it now.
Yeah.
But even when you have those things, you are still insecure about it. I still had imposter syndrome of like, how am I even here? What is happening? Then like, and it got to a point where, I'll be honest, I did have external pressure to lose more weight. And I think that is a very common thing in the ballet world. And it was,
although theoretically it should be more inclusive now, but you don't think it's not
I mean,
much.
I think we have
They try.
Yes, I will recognize that the ballet world is
a little bit more
striving to a degree to be better, but it's also, and I don't want to just be complacent and say that's how it is, but there is also a level of athleticism that is needed that, like, I don't know, it's quite a complex discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
But I do think that there is a lot of room for growth, just in terms of like, we don't need to be like extreme about it. We want people to be like healthy and strong.
Yeah.
And I think kind of like how you mentioned, I looked, like you said, I looked good in class the other day.
You look more powerful.
Thank you.
And dynamic, the explosive dynamic. Yeah.
And when I did lose a lot of weight when I was younger, I lost a lot of muscle with that as well. And I kind of went through a journey of lifting heavy weights because I felt so much, I did feel empowered by lifting super heavy weights, which is can be taboo in the dance world. I think there's a lot of dancers now who lift heavy weights that are like really strong and powerful and dynamic. But I think there's also like the pressure to be like super, super skinny, which it's like a hard give and a take. And I did put on more weight and was insecure about it and told to lose weight. And so I felt horrible about myself. But at the same time, I was like, I look in the mirror, I hate myself, I don't look good, I look the worst I've ever looked, but I feel the strongest I've ever felt in my body.
So why should I lose it? Well, it's funny that you say that, because the reason why I know I can go to Creation right now, do the 3 days cleans, and I slim down. But the problem is because of how my body is structured, and I was a pre-professional gymnast, so my body is already structured a little bit bigger here, and plus the gymnastics. The problem is that then I have the look that, I don't know, in my mind is like I look thinner and younger, but I don't have the power. Because when you have that body that needs a little bit more of weight on, that weight is also your power up to a certain point, when instead it becomes too much weight, and then it's like, no, I don't want to carry this. But your weight is also your power if you have that kind of body, unless you are naturally very skinny and powerful, and you see a lot of girls like that. But otherwise, it's interesting. That's why I was asking you. It's the same that over time I got also a little bit wiser, and I'm like, but I think this weight for me is also my power, and maybe even my health. Yeah. Because I got breast cancer in 2019, and it's thank you, but it's all good. But so far, one thing I noticed, because you look down, it's like, okay, it happened because it had to happen. My mother had it. But one of the things you notice how stressed I was, what I was doing. One of the things was that it was the skinniest period of my life. One of the things. And I loved being so thin, but I'm like, put that in consideration. I'm not saying that was the cause, but I'm like, I noticed it, and now I tend to be thinking maybe I should have a weight that allows me to feel like I'm on the right way, like myself. And have the power and the health. And
I think we want to be healthy. We don't, and I think there is a level of like, I felt like I was fighting to stay at a certain weight. And that's one of the things that like, I really felt guilty about, that like, why can't I stay as skinny as I used to be? Like, I was really hard on myself about that. And that was
But what's your body type? Maybe your body type is not that one. What do you think? Your body type is the super skinny, or is the powerful one? Because maybe the answer is, why can I cannot stay skinny? Because that's not at least in me, I know, because that's not your body type.
And I think I was very skinny for a lot of my life.
By the way, you
But
look gorgeous, and
thank you. I
in class,
appreciate it.
and so I don't want to judge anyone or any
Yeah.
company, but it's a
And it's all
shame because
relative.
you're actually, you look great as a ballerina,
Thank you. I
like
appreciate that.
in the shape you are and as a model, like.
Thank you.
And the older I get, despite side of my mind is still like the jazz pants, I'm actually started looking at beauty in a different way. So I appreciate, for instance, the shape you are in now. I appreciate it
Thank
more.
you.
Like, yeah,
That
and I
means a
understand
lot.
why my grandmother was like, eat.
Yeah.
Skin is not beautiful.
Yeah.
As you get older, you look at things differently
Yeah.
because you have less the pressure of society. And I'm like, I think it's more beautiful. So it's a little bit of a shame that, ballerina beautiful with a lot of power and it's like lose weight, so that you cannot even stand because you don't have the power.
Yeah. I really appreciate you saying all of that, and I think, and I think there are plenty of dancers that are very, very, very powerful while still being super skinny.
Yeah, but
and
that's the
there
body
is
type.
a way, and I think that like maybe I could be that if I did even more specific dieting. But there comes to a point when you're like, I think that there was a phase in my life when ballet was everything, and so I was like, everything I eat is going to be for and only because of ballet, and that's it. But I also have gotten to the point in my life where I have other experiences and I want to travel. And you know what? I'm like, I want to eat this, have this nice drink with my friend as like this social
maybe you
setting is
saved
important
your
to me,
life
and it's
this
like a
way.
balance.
Yeah, maybe you saved your life this way because now you're very young, but you don't know how long you can sustain a lifestyle where, maybe you want to use food only, like control so much food, and for how long your body can take it before rebelling against you. Because, when I was vegan, I was in great shape. When I found my tumor in my breast, I mean, my body, in a way, gave me a lot of messages. So you don't know for how long you can sustain
and if we're talking
trying
about
to be who you're not physically,
and I think also age affects it. Like it's easier when you're 18, 19, but I'm 26 now, and I never had a regular period until now.
Oh, wow.
In my entire life, which
that's actually a condition.
Is it?
Yes.
Because I know some doctors say that's not a big deal, but some doctors say it is. Like,
I don't remember the name, but I translated a book from my friend who's a ballet soloist at La Scala in Milano, Mary Garrett, and she, she even got fired at some point for talking about this, but then she was rehired. The court ordered them to rehire after a trial. It was not easy, but I translated her book, and there was a part written by psychoanalysts, and it's actually considered when you don't have your period because of the food intake, and I don't remember the name, but I should, because I translated it, and it's a condition. It's not like a coincidence.
And I know
so now you have it. As a matter of fact, now you have it.
And I know they say a lot of athletes
but
cannot because of the high intensity and whatnot.
But again, I think it also comes down. Some athletes they have it like. I have friends. They're super skinny and with all the muscles. They don't even train. They have all the muscles defined. And then there are other people like me. I loved artistic gymnastics, and then I became an adult ballerina. But I don't have that kind of body. So I learned. Despite the voice in my head is like, you're fat, you should. No, I learned that if I want to keep doing it healthy, I have to find a compromise with the way I think I should look and the health and the power that allows me to do what I love.
Yes, exactly.
Do you want to look as like a ballerina, or you want to keep dancing? Do you want to look as a ballerina and die, or you want to be? And be based on your body. And again, in your case, you look gorgeous. So I don't know what the problem is. You're gorgeous, powerful, technically very well developed, focused. Because I think also when you think too much about, I don't know, you are the professional ballerina, so you can tell in your experience. When you think too much about your physical shape, like appearance, you take away a lot of focus on other aspects of the dancing.
Completely. And you're, like I said, so much of my brain power was going towards that. And I'm like, I could have started a business with all the thoughts I've had just wasted on this. Like, really, like, so much time, so many tears, so much agony, so much like pain and self-hatred because of that. And like that, and like, just to say, like, you're talking about your body. I've always thought you looked beautiful and had a great body. And like, while you're thinking about your pants, I'm thinking about, should I wear this skirt? Everyone's in their own heads, cripplingly insecure about themselves. But most of the time, the other people aren't even focusing on that, unless it's a particular person. But
and they are there. And,
and I think it kind of circling back to what you said about like, make yourself feel good, and like kind of going back to empowering yourself, like what is going to make me feel my happiest, strongest, and most alive.
And capable at the end to do what you love, because it's easy to lose yourself. But we seem like, little by little, probably I got there later, you got there very early because you're very young, you got to that, to this point. So
still it's a daily struggle, but
but at least you're there, and the world is changing too, and getting to the point where it's something I was thinking, and I think therapy is good, because when you go to a therapist, often you're like, why doesn't this therapist talk to me? And I think what I learned from therapy is, because the biggest lesson is people are not supposed to tell you who you are. You are supposed to tell them who you are. And that's the whole point, because that's the only thing I learned after years and years of psychoanalysis and thousands of dollars spent. Like, why is this person not talking? Because I'm supposed to tell you who I am. And that is a good rule. When you really embody that, it's a good rule for life, because I noticed here in Hollywood, and for me, Hollywood started actually in Milan, because I actually did commercials and everything. I was too reliant on what you think of me. Tell me what you think. Who am I? You tell me. And that is a very dangerous game, because you are up for destruction. And when you learn that you tell others who you are, and then some of them like it and some of them laugh at you and some of them don't. But if you can keep this core of who you are, and you keep discovering, at least you can move on and keep doing the things you love. You don't the whole dream doesn't die, because maybe you're not very popular, but at least you can do it, and then things, when they're supposed to come. But it's good that you have this great journey that you can employ in your acting, you can employ in your life, in your personal relationship, in anthropology. This is very anthropological, all the things we talked about. So very good. Well, I think we have been talking for a while, and soon another ballerina will come in, and she was your colleague, right?
She was one of the 4 that lived in that house.
Oh no, really? We didn't do it.
I'm like, what is she gonna have to say about it?
No, thanks for letting me know. I didn't even know. Okay, so Carmen, Carmen will come in. So in conclusion, what would you tell to someone who's how to protect your dreams, Hollywood dreams in general, how to protect them and how to push them forward?
I would say never lose your dream and keep that core. And I'm still figuring that out. But I think for me, my identity had always been ballet, and that was everything I loved. And it was hard to make that transition because that was so much a part of me. And so I think never lose your dreams, but be flexible and
explore your identity.
Explore and allow them to allow it to reshape itself. Don't hold so rigidly onto the dream, but don't let go of the dream, but allow it to manifest in whichever way it can. I never dreamed, to me, living in LA was like a dreamland. Like, oh my God, palm trees. Like, it was such a different environment from growing up on the East Coast. And now I couldn't imagine myself anywhere else. And I think you have to leave room for the little miracles in life to happen. Like, I wouldn't have been in this acting class, which has so drastically changed my life, if I hadn't taken the advice from somebody and put myself out there. So put yourself out of your comfort zone. Just say, you know what, I'm going to try it. And like you said, what were you saying? if some people are going to like you, some people aren't going to like you, but that doesn't matter. You want to be your true self, because the people who will like you for your true self, it will be right. So just always stay true to yourself and be open to
and explore and expand your identities. And that's not only for artists. I was thinking, even for instance, in a relationship or in a marriage, you become the wife of, the girlfriend of, and it's hard to let go or something like that, or let go of a friendship when it's no longer working and your identity is very entangled into it. So there's that's a good point for a lot of for a lot of things, or a job, or a social status. Like I would like to change career, but what am I gonna do? Like I remember someone telling me she was living a big rider. She was like, "What am I gonna do? Go live in a small apartment?" And for small apartment, she probably meant a $2 million apartment in Santa Monica. Okay, but like, what am I gonna do and go live in a small apartment?
That's how I felt after leaving the ballet company, and I'm in school and I have all these other things going on. But at first, the first few months were very difficult emotionally and for my identity, because I used to say, "Oh, I dance with this company. Come to my next show. This is
Beautiful.
this." And now I'm like, "Oh, like, what do? I'm a student. Like, what the hell?" And I'm like, that's so like sad, because so many people work so hard to get into certain universities. And even I did too. And like, I don't want to diminish my hard work and accomplishments I have made in school, but I was like you hold yourself to these different identity values. And so it's okay to like allow things to evolve, and just because it's not in your life anymore doesn't mean it wasn't valuable and meant to be.
And plus, you still are, like, in your case, you still are.
And still have all these other things happening.
I'm a freelance dancer. I was 6 years in a company, and I'm a model, and I'm an actress. I love your life. Like, I'm getting a degree this spring. So you have a lot going on. Like, people will be in line to have life, our lives. And I always do the gratitude list to remind myself. And I feel in a way it's pathetic to have to do a gratitude list as I age. But then I tell myself, what else do I have to do in this life, if not the spirituality, the gratitude list, and get to know myself? What else do we have? What are we here for? You know, to drive the Maserati. Sure, by the way.
I mean,
okay.
Here, my intuition is in a Maserati.
No, seriously. It's what else do we have to do if not counting our blessings and sharing them? And you did plenty of things, and you keep doing it. And these are for you, for all your beautiful dancing that I saw, because I came to see you, and your upcoming degree. And the summer in Italy. Careful with the boys there, because
Italian. I have a whole other story from last summer in Italy.
Oh, really? Tell us quickly.
I did another study program in Italy last summer in Florence, studying American writers that their stories took place in Italy, and it was like kind of a mix of art history and literature, and we'd like study the books and then go see the art every day. But
what are you a writer as well?
I mean,
thinking of it, like exploring the writing.
I find it interesting.
Which is connected to the acting and all this. Well, whatever you're doing next, and for all you have done so far, and you shine a bright light in Los Angeles, and you'll keep doing it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sweetly over.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you for watching. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was so beautiful.
That was so beautiful.